2019, Cam Caffey, he's wrestling national champ Miles Martin. The match is, going kind of sideways. He just realized I have to change stuff, and that's where he hit the super duck.
Oh,
How about a little super duck?
that was a sick super duck by Caffey.
When you're hitting that, it's like for a split second, you can kind of hear everybody. You can hear the
Wow, that was sweet.
That's the move of the night right so far.
I think he realized at that point he can compete with anybody in the country. Cameron Caffey from Carbondale, Illinois, southern part of Illinois. There's not much wrestling down there, and it's not a hotbed of recruiting.
Illinois Matmen had me ranked behind two of my rivals, and they wrote feature articles on both of them. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, I beat both of these guys, and I took that personally. During most of my recruiting process, I consider University of Illinois to be my #1 pick. I was waiting for them to kind of extend the offer, but they didn't really want me.
Anytime you come across a kid who's pretty talented and has great academics, immediately they go on our radar.
Finally got the national letter of intent, and I saw that they upped the amount I was getting. I call Roger and I'm like, hey, is this a typo? Did you guys mess up? And he's like, no, we just really want you here.
We would talk on the phone and not mention anything about wrestling. That's really who Cam Caffey is.
Maybe I wouldn't say, hey, my name's Cameron Caffey, I'm a wrestler at MSU. I would say, hey, I'm Cameron Caffey, I wrestle at MSU, and I'm also a computer engineering student. Being here and having to juggle it with wrestling, man, this is very hard. It's not easy at all. I see other people going out and doing stuff, and they're like, oh, come do this, come do that, and I'm like, I can't. I'm doing homework on topics I don't understand.
It's 5 minutes before practice, and his online class is going a little bit late, so he brings in his laptop to practice.
They say that there's enough time in the day, but I don't believe that right now.
There's parts of Cam Caffey that I will never understand, and I'm still trying to understand. Let's talk about his hair a little bit. Why do we have 12 different hairdos? Because he's having fun. He's enjoying life.
I twisted it. I put it in afro puffs. I had put it in twisted things. I was doing a lot. Eventually one day I was just like, I really want to see what it looks like blonde. I did it and it was orange instead of blonde, and I was like, I still kind of like it.
Cameron Caffey, a little fear of the throw.
Somebody says something about my afro account, and I was like, excuse me, my what? And they're like, your afro account on Twitter. And they were like, yeah, there's two of them and they're fighting each other right now. And I was looking, and sure enough, there were two Cam Caffey afro accounts fighting each other on Twitter. How is my afro represented, but I'm not? So I had to go ahead and make a Twitter account after that. And the afro account followed me on Twitter. Before that first loss, I didn't think I was beatable. I was like, hey, I'm just gonna be the next Kill Sanderson, nobody's gonna beat me. But obviously I learned that wasn't the case very quickly.
Cam had to realize the physical nature of the sport and how to adjust to it at this level. His development has been through the roof since he came into college.
Now Caffey looking to get some near fall, and that is huge.
He was our first Big Ten finalist for the Spartans since 2017. He just thinks differently than your typical wrestler. Cam isn't the best competitor in practice because he's trying new things all the time. I used to call him the Michelangelo of wrestling because he's just creative out there. It's almost impossible to teach technique to his style. It's about the chase, it's about the challenge. There's no doubt that Cam Caffey could compete for it all this year.
All-American, I don't want to take anything for granted, but All-American's kind of a given. You should never enter a tournament not planning to win it. So my answer is that I can always be a champ.